Hello nerds, dorks, geeks, me and 10 freaks alike. It's me, RandomDragon.EXE, and today I want to talk about horror games. However, I kind of want to talk about one in particular. So, when most people think about horror games, they think of Outlast, Phasmophobia, Dead by Daylight, and even FNAF. But the game I want to talk about, that is slowly working its way up to the high ranks of these aforementioned games, is Dark Deception. Now, real fast. If you don't know what the game is, it's essentially a first-person Pac-Man, but it's scary. In the game, each level contains a maze-like structure, composed of shards that you must collect. And while you're doing that, uh, well...
One more thing. You're not alone. There are monsters in here, and they're looking for you. Here.
Yeah, you're being hunted down by bloodthirsty monsters, which are themed after the location of the maze that you're in. Now, lots of people love this game, and I'm sure that has to do with the atmosphere of each of the levels. And the game has that in spades. Each level, despite the same Pac-Man gameplay, has a unique atmosphere which is created by the three main things: the setting, the music, and the monster. Now for fun, I just want to break down these three elements for the first three levels. I would love to cover the other chapters too, but that would have made this video way too long. So I figured that covering the first three is pretty fair. Now it's time to check in and go up, because we're starting with Monkey Business. In this level, the maze is inside a hotel, which is an excellent choice for a first level actually. Hotels are actually pretty common in horror. At the beginning, we have the seemingly warm welcome of a hotel. However, it's quite desolate, no one is around. So it's very uneasy. This makes the player feel alone, and that is until they see the murder monkey in the elevator, which is a precursor of the horrors that lie within the maze. In the actual maze, it's quite small and there's a long string of enclosed hallways. This instills a sense of claustrophobia, especially with the tight turns. It makes the player feel closed in as there's nowhere else to go but forward. The music that accompanies the level is aptly titled Monkey Business, and as soon as it starts, it alerts the player that there's no going back. The eerie notes give off the vibe that they have to keep moving no matter what, that they have to make long and steady strides for the shards with a quick judgment. And if there's one mistake made, you're done for.
It helps if you don't let them stab you in the face.
It can also make the player feel somewhat helpless, as there's no power-ups like in the later chapters. Then there's the chase theme. The chase theme kicks in whenever the monkeys are on the player's tail. The music transition is subtle and smooth, and it's not as noticeable as the later levels, but it's still there. When it's heard, it gives a sudden kick to the player's pace and usually sends them in a panicked frenzy, which is kind of fitting as the title of the theme is Feeding Frenzy. As silly as the concept of being chased by monkeys sounds, the game does an excellent job at making them intimidating. They're large and they have sharp knives for hands, which tells the player all they need to know. The player can hear the monkeys stomping around and running when they get near, as well as their swishing knives. Either behind, in front of them, or to the side, this gives the player the audio cue to where they're at. Although, they might still make an occasional mistake.
And I guess that's all the... Wait. Freaks... Oh! Oh my god!
If there's one thing that Monkey Business and Elementary Evil have in common, it's that feeling of claustrophobia. It's just with a different setting. The long intertwined hallways of an elementary school spell out that there's no escape and the player feels confined. However, the larger rooms, like the cafeterias and the classrooms, are more spacious and they offer a small break from that.
Aw, you should call my friends. Well, it's been a while since I got to play with anyone this long, but I can't play around with you anymore. Now, I'll show you what I can really do.
In the second zone of the school, it retains that claustrophobic feeling, but now the school appears more worn down and corrupted. The lights are flickering and there's multiple fires. Then there's this backdrop of her victims trying to plead for help and claw their way out of the classrooms, and it's very disturbing to go and look at. The music in both of these zones is titled Last Day of School, and it's very foreboding. It has this, and what I'm guessing is a toy piano that gives this childlike feel to the level. There's also a sinister children's choir in the background that really sells the idea that Agatha likes to toy with her victims. Which makes sense, since she's a kid, but she has this weird, twisted version of play.
But you'll spice things up around here, won't you? You can share everything with me. All your secrets, all your mistakes, all your pain. That's what best friends are for, right?
The chase music that activates is titled Scared of a Little Girl, and it alerts the player that she's found them. It also has a children's choir as well, but now it's a bit sped up. And this makes the player feel like they're on a game of tag. And guess what? Agatha is it. And she's hunting you down. Agatha may be a child, but she's very creepy. She has burned up arms with claws that are very sharp. She has a really sweet voice, but a very sadistic demeanor. She loves to call out to her victims while playing around with them. This gives a strange sense of balance between childlike innocence and the innocence being corrupted.
Can I stab her face?
Now, if you're wondering what is considerably the most stressful level, look no further than Deadly Decadence. In a level, there's a starting area, which has statues overlooking the manor's acres of land. It's very pretty, and the landscaping there is very neat and tidy, which tells the player that whoever owns this land cares about their external appearance. However, just like the previous mazes, there's no one. No one except a single statue, which turns around to face the player and it introduces the level's gimmick. In the hedge maze, there's no music, just outside ambience, and it's very uneasy to nearly hear nothing except the player's footsteps. That is, until they hear other footsteps, and they're coming closer and louder. Now, in function, the first zone introduces traps in the form of spikes, and it's all a warm-up for the manor. Once the player passes the maze, they enter it. Inside it, we get this beautiful view of a manor adorned with gold everywhere. It really leaves a grand impression on the player, yet they know that there's still statues lurking around. Meanwhile, this music plays in the background. It's grand and sounds really fancy, yet ominous. It's indicating that there's statues somewhere, watching. Yet, as much as the player wants to take the manor in all its golden glory, they must press forward. As they make their way through, they wonder where the statues are. Then, when their back is turned, they suddenly hear this music shift. Then, this chase track, titled Mind Your Manners, plays to indicate their presence. And that's right, you get this nerve-wracking track to indicate that one or multiple are near. And my gosh, I just can't keep it in. I love this track for what it does to frighten the player. For one, there's this ominous sounding beat to it that sounds like the statues are just inching closer. Oh, and there's this chanting from the previous track is there too, but no one knows what it's saying. Now, lots of people have tried to decipher it, and there's a lot of interpretations. But I don't think we'll ever know the actual lyrics, and that just adds to the track's charm. Also, this music replaces the last track by practically booming its way into the level. A stark contrast to the chase themes of the monkeys and Agatha's chase themes. There's also this harpish chord in there that really sells the idea that the Gold Watchers are looming around the player. Harpish chords normally sound gorgeous, but to hear one go in this fast-paced, darker tone is enough to instill panic within the player and keep them on edge whenever it plays. And this is very fitting, as the player has to basically look out everywhere for the Watchers, the spikes, and the new traps, which are the spooky axes, and the map. All this combined creates arguably the most concentration-heavy level. So concentration-heavy that it's often hard for Let's Players to make commentary.
Go. Keep that. Oh my god, oh my god! I don't know where they're coming from, this is insane! This is freaking insane. Oh my god, I can't commentate this, guys, this is like insane.
Oh no! I'm gonna... No!
Shut up, Pierce! Oh, shit!
Oh my god!
The Watchers themselves are an unholy mix between SCP-173 and Weeping Angels, but minus the blinking feature. But you know what? Let's just be grateful that the developers did not install such a feature in the game. Because, geez, the watchers are beyond creepy already. Statues should never move. These guys also love to exploit the player's paranoia, so they often laugh and make other sounds to further scare them. It also doesn't help that they often try to split up and corner the player, which forces them to use the teleportation power or just simply die trying. Overall, the developers really went all out on their game, and it shows. They made each level stand out in its own unique way despite the gameplay being the same, and that's a feat to accomplish. I'm really glad that Dark Deception is getting the attention it deserves, because when it delivers its best. And of course, if this sounds like a fun game, you should of course play it and support Glowstick Entertainment. Also, if you like, comment down below what your favorite track, level, or monster is from the game. I actually love hearing people's taste in horror games. With that being said, I just want to talk about this game because I really enjoy it, and I thought you'd all like to hear about why this game works. Anyways, I'm off to listen to this game's soundtrack, and this is RandomDragon.EXE signing off.
You are dead.